This is going to be a savage knockout. First round, second round, third round, doesn't matter where it goes.
Download the AllStar app. Make your picks for UFC fights, challenge your friends, level up and win prizes. Link in description. Get it now.
January 13th, man, you make your UFC debut. It's a milestone for most fighters, to reach the highest level. What have been the emotions, throughout this camp?
Yeah, I've been obviously very excited. I can't wait. I've dreamt of this for, coming up close to 10 years now. I've been training. So, yeah, I've dreamt of this my whole life, but also I've expected this to happen. So I'm not, it feels familiar. I'm not super overwhelmed yet.
Okay. And so 10 years ago, when you started, that was in your mind to be in the UFC.
Yeah, 100%. So I started when I was 2014. I'll be making my debut 2024. So yeah, it'll be very close to 10 years.
Who was your favorite fighters back then, 10 years ago?
Anderson Silva and Anthony Pettis.
Okay. Oh, so you were watching during like the beautiful time of Anderson Silva, huh? That was phenomenal, right?
Yeah, 100%.
All right. So I kind of see, is there some similarities in the style that you have? I see, like, the striking is on point.
Yeah, 100%. I've studied a lot of them growing up. A lot of the stuff I do in the gym that hasn't been seen in the cage yet, there's a lot of similarities there as well. So I'm excited to show that.
All right, looking forward to it. And Nikolas Motta, man, he's a dangerous guy, a guy that either he's finished or he finishes fights. What are your thoughts on him and his fighting style?
Yeah, I respect his power. I think he's got, good boxing, but to be honest, man, I think he just doesn't mix it up enough. I think, he's got good anti-grapple, but good anti-grapple is not going to do anything when I'm going to come out there and knock you out. So, yeah, I think he's got good power. I respect his power, but again, he's got a short reach. He's a short dude. He's got to close the distance on me, and that's going to be a dangerous game for him to close the gap. And if he's not closing the gap, I'm just going to be out on the outside prodding him up, just like his last fight. Yeah, props to him for taking the fight, but I think I get this done in one.
All right, and his last fight, there was a lot of controversy around it before the stoppage happened, right? There was a lot to watch. What did you think of his performance?
I think he got outboxed by a grappler. I wasn't very impressed at all. I think he should have beat that dude on the feet. Yeah, it showed me a lot of holes in his game, to be honest.
And the no contest, the premature stoppage, man, how crazy was that?
Yeah, well, he got bashed for 13 and a half minutes. I don't see how it's a no contest. I think it was pretty clear that Ogden won that fight. Like, maybe, okay, it was definitely a premature stoppage, but they should have just gone back and counted the last 2 rounds and scored the last 2 rounds, in my opinion.
Yeah, it sucks. It's shitty because like there's no winner. So, in this game you have to win to get the other half of your paycheck.
Yeah, definitely sucks for Ogden. I think he wanted that rematch, but lucky me, I got the fight. So
there you go. And let's rewind a little bit to the Contender series, 93 seconds, the knockout win. After the fight, you said, "Don't let skinny guys knock you out." I mean, that was actually a pretty good comment right there. And he was, I was listening to it, and you're saying that he was sending you videos and like was it very odd for you the lead up to that one?
Yeah, so I got the notice 14 weeks out about the fight, and I was at the shops one afternoon, and I got these notifications that this guy was liking my post, and I thought, that's a bit weird. And I had a look, and it turns out it was my opponent. And I was like, oh, whatever. And then as the weeks went on, it became like every single night he was just reliking all of my posts. Hundreds of notifications every night. And then once I finally got the green light to announce the fight, I announced the fight, and I said exactly what I was going to do. I said, I will violently put this man away. And he mustn't have liked that. So, I got a notification. You got a message from old mate. And it's just a video of him with no shirt, just flexing while his coaches are in the background, geeing him up. So I wrote back like, mate, you look like a bodybuilder. We're about to fight. There's no point. Like, why are you sending me videos like this? And then he said, oh, you're skinny and all this shit. And I was like, all right, well, let's see who says what when I put you to sleep. So I put him to sleep. But props to him. I saw that he went and he got a knockout pretty recently on his promotion that he's been fighting for, and respect to him to come back from that, because that was a life-changing shot, the knockout and the follow-up shot. Like, they were life-changing shots, And, he came back and I think he got a first round flying knee knockout. So, credit to him.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, the knockout was phenomenal. And because of that, you have some hype around you. They're calling you the next Australian striking sensation. What do you say to that?
I 100% am. I 100% will be.
I love it. I love it. And what helps you a lot is that you're 6'3" at lightweight, 76-inch reach, and you're a southpaw, which is a massive advantage, all around. How has it been, the process of being able to utilize your physical attributes, your physical gifts in fighting?
Yeah, I think the biggest physical gift I have, which people seem to miss, is my gas tank as well. I can fight for days on end. But yeah, it obviously is an advantage being long. And I think credit goes to my coaches, because there's a lot of these long fighters out there who have great gas tanks and great power and everything, but they seem to fight short. So I have a very distinct style now where I spent years learning how to fight long, and now I know how to fight long. And now I also have spent years learning how to fight short. So, like, a lot of these long guys make the mistake of trying to box in the very, very tight range. But that's where we, without giving away too much, that's where we put people away with our slicing shots. So, yeah, credit to my coaches for that.
Yeah, your team is phenomenal. Your coaching staff is phenomenal. Team Compton. And
Yep.
how did you end up with that team? Because you've been with them for a little bit now.
Yeah, coming up 2 years now. I was living in a small town. After COVID, I had to go back to work. Obviously, there was no fights at the time. And then I had 2 pro fights, and I thought, you know what, it's time now to go back to the real world's back now. COVID's gone. Time to go back to full-time training. So I did my research on what the best team, in my opinion, in the world is, and Team Compton is what it is.
The most well-known fighter out of the bunch is most likely Elliot Compton. He has a
Yep.
long history in combat sports. What role has he played with the team? Because he's a fighter and a coach. And what role has he played for you and the rest of the team with the athletes?
So yeah, I've got a combination of him and his father Steve as my striking coaches, and man, the way they work. Like, I do a session with Steve-O and then a session with Elliot, and like, they have such similar styles, except they still teach me separate things. So it's like I'm learning from 2 masterminds at striking, and then they get together and they talk about what they've taught me, and then we like refine it down to an art. It's honestly phenomenal, the amount of knowledge that those 2 guys have. It's crazy. So yeah, Elliot plays a huge role, and he's always there for me, always supporting me, like inside the cage and outside the cage.
Yeah, and also he's one of the rare types where he can hold pads for you and spar you.
Yep.
And then teach you, right? Like, there's a difference between that, right?
Yes. Yeah, he's also a brown belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu as well, and a phenomenal MMA athlete as well. So he can literally help me everywhere.
And you have a decent crew around you. You know what I mean? Up and comers as well. Talk about who helps you prepare for these fights.
Yeah, so I've got Dom Marfan in my corner. He's a savage grappler. He will definitely be in the UFC soon. Yeah, he helps me a lot. He plays a large role in my game, and we've got heaps, too many to name, of all the training partners we got, but we got a lot of people who are on the come up, and they're going to be very well known soon.
Definitely. Anybody you have, like, in particular, that's like the next maybe couple guys you think that will be up there?
Jackson Weir White, he's definitely going to be a problem for the welterweight division. Blair Bretag, he's also going to be a problem for the middleweight division. Those 2, and obviously Dom as well, Dom Marfan. Those 3 are going to be some big names. Elliot himself, he's had like a 9-month layoff because no one wants to fight him. Now he's got some fights booked. So yeah, we got a whole crew coming for everybody.
People always point to you being so tall and being a lightweight. And I heard that your cuts are very easy, but you actually fought at featherweight earlier in your career. How was that? Was that hard, featherweight, making featherweight?
Nah, that was, to be honest, I wake up on weigh-in morning now lighter than what I was for when I was making featherweight. So I could still make featherweight now, like, quite easily. But for me, it's a thing of my health. Like, I think making featherweight will be something I'll only be able to temporarily do. I think my body wouldn't like it too much. So I think lightweight's the perfect weight for my frame. Like, I feel so good in there when I fight at lightweight. I can make it all year round. I'm training all year round, so it's really easy for me to sustain that. But featherweight, I think if I make it too many times, my body would just rebound, and I'd end up being really big. So But yeah, man, it's easy for me to cut weight. I barely sweat. I barely have to sauna.
All right. And, this fight coming up, how do you envision yourself winning your debut in the octagon?
This is going to be a savage knockout. First round, second round, third round, doesn't matter where it goes. It will be a finish and it will be savage. It's going to be a life-changing shot, and I think I'd get this dude out of the UFC. I think this would be his walking papers.
There's a few names coming out of Australia, New Zealand right now, up and comers. You're one of them. There's Jack Della, Steve Ursig, Jack Jenkins, Josh Kulabau, to name a few. That's the next wave, right? How does it feel like to being the next wave? Because it almost seems like the last wave hasn't even gotten done yet. You know what I mean? We still have champions from the last wave, but you coming in and kind of filling in those shoes, how exciting is that for you?
Yeah, man, it is exciting. We got a lot of guys here who aren't signed yet in all weight divisions that I think would absolutely run amok in the UFC. I think the fans love us for the way we talk, the way we fight, and I think we're just true. Like we really mean everything we say. Whereas some of these other countries, they fake it a little bit, I think. So yeah, we're crowd pleasers, and it's exciting to be a part of it.
What do you want to accomplish, man, in the next 12 months? You're starting your career January 2024, January 2025. Where do you see yourself? Do you envision those types of things? Do you think that far ahead?
Yeah, 100%. I want to be fighting for a top 15 spot this time next year.
Sounds
I
good.
hope to have I'd like to be 4-0 in the UFC, 5-0 with my contenders at the end of this time next year. That's what I'd like.
January 13th, man. You make your debut, UFC Fight Night, Las Vegas. Thank you so much, Tom, man, for the time. And yeah, I'm really excited to see what you can do inside the octagon, man. Because some guys they go off the Contender series, and it seems like they reached another level once they stepped into the cage in the UFC. And I could see that in your future as well.
Yeah, absolutely expect that. It's going to be fantastic.